What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. This is Andres from the CTE Podcast. The CTE Podcast is brought to you by Café Tres Estrellas. Café Tres Estrellas is a small batch craft coffee roaster that specializes in fair trade organic coffee. If you need a good cup of coffee, visit them at cafetresestrellas.com. So, if you're like me, you are, I'll say, a jack of all trades, but a master of none, right? Most of us are dabblers. We go from item to item. We try a lot of different things. And when we find out that we don't like them, we think we don't like them, we move on to something else, right? And most of the time, it's that we don't give it enough time for us to get better at it or get good enough at it to enjoy it, right? In the beginning, everything, when you start something, it pretty much sucks because you don't know how to do what you're doing, right? And it's a lot of work, and you're expecting it to be like this great hobby that makes you better or relaxes you or makes you feel good, but in the beginning, if you play chess, you suck and you're going to lose all the time, or you're going to have to study a lot. And our vision of people playing chess is, the guys in the park that can go to the park and play chess all day and have a great time doing it, right? But in the beginning, that's not the case, right? So, how much time have we wasted doing this, right? Going from thing to thing because we get bored, right? What kind of person could we have been if we would have stuck to something a little bit longer? Instead of getting to the point where you think you can't take it anymore because it's too much work, what would have happened if you would have stayed on, doing that thing a couple of more weeks, right? Would you have gotten past the point, the pain point, right, of it not being work and you seeing results so that you think that you're making progress, right? Hopping around from thing to thing is a bad habit that I'm trying to break, right? I do this a lot. I've gone to the gym for a long time, but I've hopped from program to program a lot because I get bored or I don't see the results that I expect to see in the time I expect to see. So I think that the program is the problem, right? And not me or the effort that I'm putting into the program, right? As I write this, I have found out why, right? For a long time, I was a soccer player. From the time I was 8 years old to when my daughter was born, when I was like 31, I'm 40 now, I was a soccer player, and I played a lot of soccer, and it was a big part of my life, and I coached, and I refereed, and I practiced, and I tried to play at the most serious level that I could, right? By no means was I, destined to be a professional, but, I was also not in a league where, the leagues that I would play in, you were expected to go to practice, and if you weren't good, you would not play, and you were expected to show up every Sunday, and we would have a plan and strategy, and we wanted to win. We weren't there to mess around, right? So I quit cold turkey, right? From one day to the next, I was no longer interested in soccer for some reason. When my daughter was born, right, on that day, for whatever reason, I stopped being as interested in soccer as I once was, right? Because I had to make room for something that was more important, right? That was the reason. And in my head, it happened, fairly quickly, right? That I understood that, my daughter, my family, that's how big soccer was in my life, right? I had to decide what was more important, what was going to be number one, right? My family or soccer. And I decided my family was more important, which is, the obvious decision. And then soccer got put because it fit nowhere else if it wasn't number one. And I've tried to go back a few times to play soccer in leagues that were not as serious. and myself not being as serious because I don't have the same amount of time that I once had, and it didn't work out, right? I didn't put in enough effort, and the reward I got and the feeling I got with the teams that I was on that didn't require a lot of effort wasn't the same, right? Um, this might sound off topic, but it's important that I get this out, you know, on in the podcast or in video. I'm filming this or on paper, right? The reason that I jump from thing to thing is that nothing will ever be as important to me as soccer, right? No hobby or activity that I try will ever be as important as that, right? If I compare everything to soccer, nothing will ever come close, right? So I guess the big takeaway from this is that you should never try to replace some things, right? Some things cannot be replaced with another. So if you're not going to do them, then you need to forget them or put them away and never bring them out to compare to something else that you're doing, right? You should accept that you have to try to find something different for its own reason, right? I should not compare working out in the gym. I like working out in the gym. I like it a lot, right? But I don't like it as much as playing soccer, right? And I should never try and get the same feeling working out in the gym that I did when I was playing soccer, right? So if you found something that you have interest to invest time into that you think is beneficial, makes you a better person, do it, right? Find a place or person that can teach you something new about it. Give yourself a mentor, right? That way you can become proficient enough at it so that you can benefit from doing it. Sometimes we waste our time beating our head into the wall trying to get better at something, right? And we don't understand that we do not have the skill needed to get over the next hump, right? So if you find something that you want and you don't compare it to other things that you used to do, right? And you get to a point where you are frustrated at yourself for not making progress, it's because you're not good enough to make any more progress, right? And you need to find something to get you over that hump, and it isn't you, right? So you need to find a group, a person, a teacher, a book that has the skill that you need to get you over the next to get the next hump, right? We don't understand that we don't have the skill needed to get over the hump. We need someone that has been down the road before to help push us over, right? So, if I say soccer is never going to be part of my life again, I should not compare anything to that. That will help me stick to things. If I say I'm going to find a mentor and or a group that has already been down this road before and is going to show me how to stick to and fix what I need to fix so I can get better, that will help me stick to things also. So instead of trying to find a bunch of things that a thing that will be as good as what you used to do, or a feeling that you're trying to recapture, and B, something that is easy enough that you don't have to put a lot of work in because you don't have a lot of time in. Those two things don't exist and they don't go together, right? So it needs to be something that is different than what you used to do, and you need to surround yourself with people who have already been down that road so that you can become proficient at it and not stop when it gets hard, right? And now you can find classes and conferences for just about anything. Invest in yourself and make sure you set yourself up for success. Whether it's a skill needed for work or one needed for recreation, being as good as you can at something might amplify other things in your life. So if you learn how to do this step by finding the right people and sticking to something and doing it for its own reason, once you understand how to do that task, you might get better at other things by default because now you have a new skill set that you can apply to other things, right? So it's not always about getting better or trying things to find the right thing. It's about finding something and doing it the right way and doing it for the right reason. Because hopping around from thing to thing not only wastes your time, but it doesn't make you feel good because you think that you are not capable of doing things, and you're wasting your time from getting better at other things. So the big takeaway from all this is do things for their own reason, not how they can make you, or not how they might bring back something that you used to do or make you feel some way that there's no way that they can do that. right? So do things for their own reason. If you're going to go to the gym because you want to go to the gym and get better. Don't go to the gym because you used to play football when you were in high school and you were the jock in high school and the star and you want to do that again. That's not ever going to be the same, right? Don't start writing to be a famous author, right? You start writing because you have something to tell somebody and you want to get that out on paper, right? Now, those two things, if you're not a writer, if you've never written anything before, right, you might have to take a writing class to understand what it takes to be a writer. If you've never been to the gym before, regardless if you were an athlete, if you weren't in the gym before, you need to find a trainer or a group of people that can keep you accountable and teach you how to do all the things that you need to do to get better in the gym, right? Do things for what for just for the sake of doing the thing, not to try and fill some other gap, and stick with things long enough and set yourself up for success by surrounding you with people and things that will help you get through the hard times. And those people should have already been through what you're doing. And once you do that and you are able to accomplish something and get to the other side, you will now be able to not only do that thing and get better at it and enjoy it, but now you can apply those things, that philosophy, to other things in your life and do the same thing. And if you knock those things off one by one, you'll be a better person and you'll understand what it takes to get better. So that's the show for this week. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. Share this podcast with someone who you think will benefit from it. I started a Facebook group that I will also link in the description. A place where people can go and share their accomplishments that they've made and changes they've made in their life, so that you can not only get support, but you can get a pat on the back, because that's important to keep going and keep making improvements in your life, right? Subscribe to the podcast, share it with other people. You can contact me at andres.thectepodcast@gmail.com if you have any questions about the show or its sponsor. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next time.